We've traveled the country all season long, and it's been an awesome season, but all the players have had their sights set on this. Phoenix, Arizona for the 2022 AVP Championships. We are in the Footprint Center here in Phoenix, and the crowd sure has come out for the men who are about to take over center court. I'm Dane Blanton alongside Olympic gold medalist Rich Lamborn, and wow, this has been exciting. We haven't been indoors. Of course, we had hot winter nights, but those weren't official AVP events. It's been since 1996 that we've played inside an arena like this, and the players seem to love it.
So far, it's amazing. Like you said, the crowd is out in full force. I mean, it's a total vibe in here, and I'm excited to see the men go at it.
Yeah, beach volleyball inside as we take a look at the men's bracket. It is a battle to get to Saturday. It's just Friday and Saturday tournament, but we're going to see Lotman and Partain, champions in Atlanta, going up against Benesh and Patterson. Benesh taking over for Phil Dahlhauser, who is out with a medical. And so Andy Benesh, who actually won his first event with Phil Dahlhauser in Austin, will fill in and play with Patterson. The winner of that, well, they get Triborn and Trevor Crabb. So it's time to meet the players. Let's head on down to center court and get the introductions from Mark Sherman.
You guys having a good time tonight? I'm having a good time tonight. I'm loving this. This is great. We are in the Footprint Center, ladies and gentlemen. We are here indoors, bringing the sand in, and it feels so good. It's real hot outside, but it feels great in here. Let's meet the teams, shall we? Oh, how about first we talk to the big guy. You know, this guy, he likes last-second phone calls to play in tournaments, you know what I mean? It's sort of his thing this year. He got his first win in his AVP career at the very beginning of the year. He would like to go out with a win here at the championships, everybody, out of Rancho Palos Verdes. Let's just bookend it, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it for Andy Benesh. That's most of my job, Casey. Ladies and gentlemen, how about this young fella out of Newberry Park, California? He is an 18-time winner on the AVP Tour. He is a 5-time father. He is a 15-time entertainer of the year on the AVP. And ladies and gentlemen, I got to hear loud and proud for Mr. Suavehawk, the pop and lock. Just what a guy, everybody. It is K.C. Patterson. And their opponents. Oh, this first guy, does it feel at home, Paul? Does it feel good to be in an arena, to be in a stadium? It feels a little jumpy in here, doesn't it? This guy represented the USA at the Olympic Games for the indoor national team of Team USA, and he is real fun to watch on the sand, and he is going to be flying high here at the Footprint Center. Let me hear it for Paul Lotman. Now this kid's pretty dang good at indoor volleyball as well. He's a setter at UCLA where he gets real high. Sometimes he sets it, sometimes he hits it. And I can't wait to see you play indoor volleyball on the beach. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the kid. He is phenomenal. It's Miles Partain.
Thank you, Mark Sherman. Setting the table right there, Andy Benesh, K.C. Patterson, who will be the number 5 seed in this event, taking on number 4, Paul Lotman and Miles Partain. This is going to be a good one. There's a good look at K.C. Patterson. Across the net, the youngster. As one leaves, K.C. Patterson retires, one enters. Miles Partain at just 20 years of age. He is back to serve his partner. Paul Lotman is right there at the net. And as we mentioned, just moments ago. Andy Benesh is playing for Phil Dahlhauser, who took a medical substitution, excuse me, and had a medical withdrawal. And what a pickup, though, right? If you're going to not have Phil on the court, why not Andy Benesh?
Yeah, they, as Mark mentioned in the opening, Andy and Phil won the first tournament of the year. So Casey said, "I'm going to need an Austin champion alongside me. If Phil's out, Andy's in." I thought you were going to sing us a Circle of Life kind of a song. One leaves, the other one comes in.
Yeah, you know, it's true though, right?
Yeah, that is how it goes, and certainly we expect to see Miles out here for many years to come. He's come in this year, and he's come in and made a statement.
And there's a good look at Andy Benesh, 27 years of age, out of Rancho Palos Verdes, California. He's 6'9" listed. And that's what he does best right there. Controls the net. And it's going to be a battle between him and Lotman. Definitely Benesh has the height advantage. But if he can put up a couple blocks like that, it's going to change the entire dynamic of this one. Yeah,
absolutely. We've talked a lot already probably about how jumpy this sand is, how kind of physical everybody's able to play. And so Andy's ability to neutralize some of that physicality will be pivotal to his squad's success out there. But I think on the flip side of that, it'll give Casey kind of some fresh legs too, right? We already saw him tee off on the very first ball of this match. And let's see if he's able to keep doing that all the way throughout.
Miles Partain serves Benesh, and Benesh knows what to do with it there. Benesh and Patterson out to a quick start here, up 4-2. Very interesting being indoors, a little different vibe. Of course, you don't have the good side, bad side with the sun or the wind, but it is different playing indoors. And I know, Rich, you as a coach of the Taylors had your team here earlier, just getting familiar with the environment.
Yeah, you got to try and, get used to the background. You're not used to seeing a bunch of stadium seats in the background when you're, looking to serve or looking to, more importantly, receive serve. So just finding your bearings in here is important. And we've also talked about there's no wind, but there is kind of like a swirling sensation to the air conditioning, right, which you have to adjust to.
Tight set, and Benesh is going to throw that one back. Can't blame Lotman, though, rolling the dice, trying to get his partner 50-50 on the net.
Yeah, like Miles makes a great dig here. Paul's got to try and get him up in hittable position. Just barely overcooks it, but I agree with you. I like the aggression early, particularly in this match.
Short serve by Benesh. And that ball out of bounds, somewhat of a forced option there by Lotman.
Yeah, just a little indecisiveness there, right? He kind of wasn't going to do it, then he all of a sudden was, and just barely misses that long.
6-3, Benesh and Patterson. Short serve, and there you go. That is their bread and butter. That's what they love to do right there. You got to be very careful when you serve Lotman, because he is going to usually tee up Miles Partain, and you see there kills per match. Miles Partain leading this season 19.5, and he's getting that because he's getting kills when he does not even receive the serve.
Paul and Miles get one back there on the hitting error. I mean, we talk about kind of the precocious nature of Miles Partain and how good he is for his age, but how about that rig, huh? How about the physique? That's not what I looked like when I was 20 years old.
No, he is. Much. And he's constantly getting stronger every time he steps on the court, adding more muscle and bulk. And you're just looking at a sophomore in college is Miles Partain. He was the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation, the MPSF Player of the Year, playing for UCLA. As a setter with that left hand, he is absolutely lethal. This serve to Partain. And there's Partain with that sharp angle, and he has just really raised a lot of eyebrows this year, winning in Atlanta, his first victory. And when he did it, it was so reserved. And almost looks like, you know, this was inevitable. This was going to happen, and this was probably going to be the first of many.
Right. Well, I agree with that, certainly. That was probably my favorite part of their victory, is he almost looked like he was going back to serve after they scored the final point, right? Like,
right.
No, let's just keep going. But yeah, very, very unassuming is Miles Partain.
Yeah, I think their coach, Mike Playcheck, was saying, like, do you want to go celebrate or do you want to go play some more?
Yeah, they've really found a nice combination, though, in temperaments and personalities and so forth. Paul's also a very, you know, he can be fiery, but he's a little bit reserved himself. And Mike Playcheck, their coach, as well, is very similar. So they've found a system that works very well for the three of them, I should say. And they've really, I think, maximized their game.
Yeah, their offense has gotten more dynamic as the season's gone on, and they've gotten to a comfort level. The chemistry is just there. It seems like they throw some balls out of the middle. They sometimes shoot it out to the pin. They have a dynamic offense.
Yeah, they do, and they kind of keep you guessing. You can come on two at you at any time.
Patterson goes right to Partain, and Partain makes him pay for it right there.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice double fake almost by Miles Partain. Just set up early on the line. Casey kind of thought he was going to break out into the angle there, maybe stayed home and picked that up easy.
Nice float serve there, just out of bounds. But yeah, you know what? I was a little. You mentioned Miles and his physique and how he's continuing to get stronger. It's interesting because he has kind of a trademark look. He usually has a tank top on and he has the leggings on, but the tank top has come off as we've gone indoors, which is interesting.
That is unusual. I'm always curious when guys go no shirt and then leggings, but both of them seem to be doing that here. And yeah, like you said, that is typically Miles' trademark look, the baggy tank top and the tights.
It's the first time I've seen the cutoff shirt usually, and it's his unique thing. You know, it's interesting since we're talking about different wardrobe. I see some of the women wearing like almost tennis skirts.
Yeah, well, we certainly saw that from Zana. Yeah, she's a bit of a
fashionista
icon. Yeah, fashionista. Yeah, look.
Speaking of fashionista, look at that haircut right there by Casey Patterson.
Yeah, that's up there with, you know, Steve Timmons and Adam Johnson as far as most recognizable lids in the history of the sport, I would say.
Paul Lotman, Miles Partain, results this season. You see they started off with the 9th, but started knocking on the door in New Orleans, Hermosa, Fort Lauderdale, and then they were able to reach the top of the hill in Atlanta. Let's take a look.
Atlanta, a gorgeous place to hold a volleyball tournament. Here we are in set number 1 in the men's final. Brunner and Schalk versus Lotman and Partain. I'm speechless, Dave. Rolling that up for the lefty. And a deep middle. You say this kid's the future. Still set point for the number 1 seed. Set number 1 goes to Brunner and Schalk for the set. And just enough on it. The finesse in set 2 goes to Miles Partain and Paul Lotman. Match point for Lotman and Partain. A 20-year-old and an Olympian. They're going to give Lotman and Partain the shot. Here it is! Your Atlanta champions, Paul Lotman and Miles Partain.
You know what I love about Miles Partain? He records every single match on his iPhone, and if you watch him, as soon as the match is over, he goes over and grabs the phone, and he is just you know, a student of the game, and it is going to be scary to see him develop over the years.
Ooh, nice block there from Lotman. Yeah, he is very patterned in what he likes to do, right? Kind of has a solidly established routine that he sticks to pretty rigorously.
And that's usually something that you get at 25, 30, you know,
Yeah.
as you're developing and learning the game. He is way ahead of it at just 20 years of age. Here's Patterson. Ripping that one. And look at the conversion right there by Partain, and he's fired up.
And that was kind of the most excitement we see out of Miles right there. A great dig, wonderful set and transition from Paul that time. And just teed off to the corner, Miles, for the kill.
7 kills for Partain so far. Usually don't see him as animated, but right now he is all over the court. Can't corral that one in. 13-12, Lotman Partain with the lead here in the first set.
Yeah, it's wild as we just saw his hitting percentage over 500, and you saw that he led the AVP on kills per match. Crazy to think he's a setter indoors with those kind of offensive capability.
Big angle, high hit against the 6'9" Benesh. And so far, they've been able to get around Benesh's block.
Yeah, Andy started with one early, but they've figured it out as this first set has gone along.
Here comes Lotman out of Long Beach State. Nice dig by Partain. And he rips this one down the middle, and he is converting those defensive plays at an extremely high rate.
Yeah, he certainly is. Really nice discipline and patience just sitting in there in that pocket, scooping that ball. And Lotman setting some gems in transition.
Yeah, this has got to be tough for those two, just getting together, Casey Patterson and Andy Benesh. And as we all know, Casey Patterson will be retiring after this event. So this is single elimination. So at any time, this could be his last match.
Yeah, I mean, the good news, if you want to call it that, is no matter what happens here, you'll get a chance at another match as we play out to every position. But yeah, it is. You have to imagine that's in your mind, right, when you start approaching that finish line, as it were.
Yeah, Casey Patterson came on the tour in 2003. Won his first event in 2009 with Ty Loomis, and that was in Coney Island. Remember, he took down Sean Scott and John Hayden at the time, and just has had an amazing career. 2016 Olympian with Jake Gibb, and he's pretty much done it all. It'll be a big loss when Casey Patterson's not out there, because the one thing, aside from his 18 AVP victories, is the personality he brings to the game.
Yeah, the enthusiasm. I mean, just such a great ambassador for the game. He's a recognizable guy, obviously, with that unbelievable hairdo. But, I mean, he's also done his part to add to the potentially future generations of the AVP with 5 children now, he and his wife, Lexi. So we could see Patterson's out on the sand for years and years and years to come.
Cash, Guy, Ray, Blake, and Ford.
That's impressive, Dan. You can name all 5.
Well, you know, that's what professionals do. 16-13, Lotman and Partain ahead here in the first set. So important to get that first set. Percentages go your way very quickly, as Partain's going to use all the sand, backing up all the way to the banner for that float serve to Patterson. Nice cut shot by Patterson. And finally, a little antics from Patterson. He's motioning to get some juice, maybe a little energy from the crowd.
Yeah, I like that. You know, he got dug on a couple hard-driven balls, and I think he just looks to the crowd and goes, "It was that easy the whole time? Why didn't I just do that?" But that's why people love to watch Casey because he really engages with the fans.
Big stuff block just out of bounds. And Andy Benesh has to be shaking his head. How do I get it going up at the net? It just seems like he's a split second late or a split second early, but it just hasn't been on time.
That one looked pretty good. Just, you know, Miles able to dodge a little bit of a bullet as it falls centimeters wide.
Nice dig by Partain. Lotman takes a chance and puts it right on top of the net. Huge hit right there for Partain.
Yeah, and we saw Paul overcook one of those early in this set. He's found the range in transition with his setting, though, and he is just putting up butter square after butter square for his guy. Another wonderful dig from Miles in the backcourt on the hard-driven ball.
Big serve by Lotman. Here comes Patterson on the right. Nice control block. Patterson with another opportunity, a trickler, and he will take it.
That play included one of my all-time favorite things that Casey does, and that's the tomahawk dig. He has such unbelievable control. You know, as Miles pops that ball over from, 10 or 12 feet off the net, Casey just throws the tomahawk at it, controls it perfectly. Gets that cut shot to crawl over the net.
I think it is so essential to learn that move. Whether you use it or not, you have to have it in your pocket. And then Benesh acing right down the middle. So just like that, Benesh and Patterson are back into this one. The winner of this will take on Tri-Bourne and Trevor Crabb tomorrow at 12:15. And look at that. You can't place that much better.
No, you couldn't walk over there and drop that any better. Perfectly in the middle, right on the back line.
Gotta love that. Whenever you go for that middle ball, you just want the defense to look at each other and then say, you got it, I take it. And there's a confusion. This is the waste management serve of the day from Benesh. Going from the right back line to the middle of the court, and Lotman and Partain knew they had it. That's the waste management serve of the day. Miles Partain, for sure, the leader of the conversation of the future of the male side for the United States. The big question is, who will he be playing with? What comes to mind is a guy on the other side of the court. For me, the 27-year-old Benesh. I think that might be a lethal team internationally.
Yeah, certainly on paper, you have to like that combination. Miles has shown us, his impressive defensive abilities behind the block of Paul Lotman. And behind a block as big as Andy Benesh, you'd think he'd have to be even that much more effective. Andy passes the ball well, sides out well, sets the ball very well. So you'd think that would be an incredibly good combination. They'd have to try it out. Obviously, as you well know, things that look good on paper aren't necessarily always great in reality as far as, beach volleyball partnerships, because chemistry is such an important part.
Yeah, so true. It might look good on paper, but not until you get out there and actually start playing do you see if it's going to fit, if it's going to work. But that would be two really great players that are nowhere near reaching their potential. But I love the team of Lotman and Partain that we've seen. Just don't know what Lotman's plans are if he wants to play internationally. He is 36 years of age, whereas Benesh, 27, kind of just getting started. And Lotman's already had an amazing career. We mentioned it earlier. It was in the 2012 Olympics. He was also, I believe, a substitute in the 2016 Olympics. And there's Patterson on the right side, putting it down. And
that was the patented look away right there.
The no look down the line from the right. Lotman and Partain are looking at set point. Benesh and Patterson have to make something happen to stay alive. Serve goes to Partain, set to the antenna, and wow. Cross court wide open for Miles Partain as he bounces it. Partain looks like he's got a little pep in his step. He's focused, determined, and he's playing at an extremely high level. Lotman Partain wins set number 1, 21-18. Benesh and Patterson going to talk it over, see if they can turn things around.
It's the choices we make that define us.
Trying Trevor's coming off a tough, heartbreaking loss.
And ultimately, the enemy is within. Some people want it, some wish for it, but others make it happen.
Trying Trevor's super lethal, bringing fire and passion to the court.
How will you take charge?
I'm Carrie Walsh-Jennings. I've played with lots of injuries and sore muscles. KT Tape has helped me push past the pain. Today, clinical studies prove what I've always known, that using KT Tape before, during, and after workouts can reduce muscle soreness. Whether it's the Olympics or the local gym, pain is pain.
Tape up with KT Tape, the #1 kinesiology tape. Use it for muscle soreness and many common injuries. KT Tape, train longer, finish stronger.
KT Tape works for me, it'll work for you.
Could fight and find our freedom. You and I, the sky, the moon, and the light was just a ride. Share a little love, share a little love. Learn to respect one another. We could find a way to make another day brighter now that we got each other.
At Corner Bakery, we're making your choice simple with Choose 2 options every day. Choose 2 of your favorites and turn a simple lunch into a perfectly paired meal. And we're not talking about a few Choose 2 options. Pair up any sandwich or panini, any cafe fresh salad or warm simmering soup, or any pan sauteed pasta. So many kitchen crafted options, so little time. Your perfect Choose 2 combination is waiting at the Corner Bakery.
Where set number 1 is in the books. Rich Lamborn, let's break down those stats.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it jumps right off of the page. There's 632 to 400. That's a 400 is a good number, but 632 is an incredible number for Lotman and Partain. And then the 5 digs to 1. Those 2 things right there equal a 3-point difference, I think. And Miles and Paul were just a little bit more steady, right? Made a couple more plays on defense.
As we start this one off, the second set, Patterson and Benesh need to get back in it. It seems like they've been going to Partain quite a bit. You switch it over?
Yeah, it's always tough against this team, right? Because I think you probably do to start. Sometimes people are going at Miles not because he's ineffective offensively, obviously, as he showed there, but it's kind of a pick your poison thing. Do you serve Paul and maybe Miles hits on 2 and then you got to deal with that, the uncertainty of that? Or do you serve it to Miles and at least you know he's going to be hitting it on the third contact? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's so many different approaches, and that's what a great team poses for you. A lot of dilemmas, right, on serving either player. And right there, Partain still getting the best of Andy Benesh at the net.
Well, yeah, and there's a good look at it. They got the bad pass out of Paul, got a little bit tight and quick. But Miles so effective at going up and cleaning up that otherwise, you know, what we would consider an error of sorts.
That's what great teams do. They get out of trouble when they're out of the system. A lot of players would have not got their feet under the ball in that last errant pass like Partain.
Yeah, there are a lot of kind of those hallmarks of winning teams, like you mentioned, right? Being able to win when you're not at your best, being able to clean up mistakes, being able to minimize errors, things like that, and certainly a variety of offense and an ability to clean up mistakes is something that Miles and Paul do very, very well.
2-all here, second set. Casey Patterson rips it over at Lotman. There's a jump set from Partain, and a beautiful jump set it is, setting Lotman up perfectly. That ability to really have that big double arm lift and fake that you're going to hit and set is an extremely high level of difficulty.
Yeah, I like him doing it on that too, because that particular pass was, 10, 12 feet off the net, so he wasn't really much of a threat to hit there. But you've got to do it with some consistency, because then it gives the same look even when it is a perfect pass, right? So it adds to your deception.
Lotman, highest jump 25.6. Benesh 26.3 from our Connexon monitors that are on the players, sensing their every move.
Andy trying that middle ball again, just missing long. You're always hoping for the Moses, right, where it's just the parting of the Red Sea.
4-3, Lotman and Partain with the lead. They won the first set, so the pressure's on Benesh and Patterson. Lotman rips it down the middle. Great touch by Lotman. Here comes Patterson, right side, tries to get a little bit too cute with that shot, or maybe saw that Partain was cutting into that and erred.
Yeah, you have to give a pretty good amount of credit to Miles for the amount of balls that he's touching on defense, right? It causes that little extra bit of stress in the mind of Casey when he's going up to hit those shots. He's got to be so precise.
Nice cross court serve by Lotman. Lotman with a block, but it's covered. It's a questionable set, and Lotman's going to ask for a little clarification there. He wasn't happy with it, but nonetheless, it's a point for Patterson and Benesh.
Yeah, Casey, some of the best hands of all time. That one, maybe by his standards, a little bit swirly, but Andy with a great shot into the corner nevertheless.
Setting has gotten so amazing, I think, across the board, men and women. So many players setting with their hands with such a high level. There's a beautiful set by Partain, but finally Andy Benesh getting into the action up at the net. I think he had an early block, and then he has been quiet ever since. 9 attacks for Benesh so far.
Yeah, he had that one that just barely missed on Miles kind of late in that first set. Finds the range that time, though, on Paul.
Patterson with another opportunity. The set's way off the net, but he creates some magic falling backwards on that one.
Yeah, Casey's so tough in those types of situations because he's got such good vision and such good control with his hand that it looks like he's got nowhere to go with that shot, and he finds the corner opposite him.
Benesh and Patterson hitting 375 as opposed to 250 on the other side of the net here in set number 2. And a big reason for the difference in that hitting efficiency is that man, Andy Benesh.
Yeah, and our producer dialed in on the game plan. They're going after Paul, and they're having some success here in set number 2, our Andy and Casey.
Tight set. Such a quick step close. So important not only to come in with intent, but to have that step close be quicker than the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always say you got to go slow to fast.
Slow to fast is kind of the expression we use a lot, right? And I know I'm a broken record on this. I got that being a little bit of a mistake serving Miles Partain right there after scoring a few on Paul.
Yeah, if you got someone against the ropes, don't let them off the hook. Keep serving them. Make them work to get out of it, especially if there's so much on the ropes that they call a timeout.
Yeah.
That's really important when you come out of a situation like that, to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, Andy and Casey still with the 2-point advantage here, though, in this second set. And so now it's just incumbent upon them to lean on what they feel is working. Yeah, that's a side out. That's a nice side out for Miles and Paul. But Casey and Andy, if you're them, you want that all day long, right? Because Casey had a good look at that on defense, and he'll start to pick those up if they get those looks over and over again.
8-7, Benesh and Patterson. Lotman up at the net, and there's the stuff down. Not too deceptive in terms of his moves. He just stayed up and stayed home.
Yeah, that was a great look at it, that camera angle from kind of right behind Paul. He stayed home. He let Andy's approach take him into where Paul was set up, and then he was just real disciplined with that line side arm, right?
Yeah, you see a lot of blockers doing a lot of different things these days. Sometimes just keep it simple.
Yeah, oftentimes there's a lot of, too much maybe show and take, jumping sideways and all over the map, and sometimes discipline is all you need.
9-8, Benesh, Patterson over Lotman and Partain. Lotman and Partain winning the first set. There's a beautiful jump set and a left-handed attack that time by Lotman. So Lotman and Partain coming up with all sorts of creativity.
Yeah, that was, maybe again a little bit of a byproduct of Miles jumping on the pass that was way off the net, because that time he was right in the wheelhouse to swing at it if he wanted. It makes that extra deceptive.
Partain, 22 attacks to Lotman's 5. Oh, duped him right into that cut shot. And then Partain makes the error of leaving it right on top of the net.
Yeah, that was a great defensive setup for Miles and Paul. Excellent timing on that run. But Andy with a nice bit of blocking, just jumping way into that angle shot and swatting it.
That was so cool to see Partain hesitate into the line, almost tempt him to hit that angle and then run it down. And that's what it's all about. So much strategy in the back court. Do you fake and stay your position? Do you fake and actually move positions? That's constantly going on throughout the match.
Yeah, it's just the ongoing cat and mouse, right? Casey, some of the best vision in the history of this sport, I would say. But even he, from time to time, can be duped.
10-all here, 1 point away from the technical timeout. And there's Paul Lotman up and over the net. A huge move right there.
And it is interesting. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit already. He's much more, I don't know what the word is. It's certainly not vanilla, because that sounds dismissive. He's very, very disciplined, but he's not doing a lot of the lateral jumping, right? He's just getting set up, and he's very, very disciplined with his handwork. And it's paying some dividends here for them midway through this second.
Yeah, you see number 5 on the season, 2.9 blocks per match for Paul Lotman. And would you call Paul an undersized blocker? Or, when you put him up against the Phil Dahlhausers, the Theo Brunner, the Andy Beneshes?
Well, when you look at that list, he's undersized compared to everyone except Kyle Friend, who's really undersized. But, I mean, that's just a testament to how good Kyle and Paul both are with their handwork up at the net. And I think that's a skill that Paul's certainly gotten better and better at, certainly as this season has progressed.
How well do you know Paul Lotman?
Yeah, fairly well. I mean, we played together in the London Olympic Games. We were teammates for several years with the indoor team. Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. He's got a great temperament out there, just an unbelievable competitor. And it's really, from my perspective, I'm very happy to see him kind of find this partnership and this group with Mike Plachek that has really maximized his abilities out there.
Yeah, seems like such a steady player and composed, yet very fiery and competitive, as you said. I think it's a great partnership for Partain.
Yeah,
because both are very hungry, and he's on the come up, and Lotman's more that veteran, even though very new to the beach game.
Ooh. Nice work by Andy there. Yeah, just to kind of finish up on Miles and Paul, you get that classic combination, right, of the steady veteran who gives a little stability to his young guy, and then you get the precocious, just unbelievable phenom talent in Miles Partain that gives the shot in the arm of a little extra life to Paul Lotman at this stage in his career. So it's nice to see. And that's also nice to see when you're Paul, you just set a beauty out to the line, and Miles tees off on it.
I love that tempo set to the outside. Makes it so difficult for the blocker to move, try to face and set up. Just when you're getting there, the ball's getting down to the sand.
Yeah, it's one of the things that they do well, right, is even when it's not quite that fast tempo, they do set a little bit of a lob out to Miles, so it's hard for the blocker to pinpoint exactly where his attack point's going to be. And then he's got range to just make it all the more difficult on you as a blocker.
Patterson with a roll shot. It's scooped by Partain. I don't know how he got under that one. And Patterson comes back even stronger.
you get the full pantomime of something from Casey on just about every play, especially when the points go his way. Yeah, that was phenomenal discipline right there from Miles. Just waited, and sprawled and got underneath that ball.
I don't know if the pantomime is Miles digging the cut shot. I don't know. Oh.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a little bit of controversy. Yeah, was there contact? I don't know. It looked like Andy just took a weird step maybe, but maybe we can get a replay and see if there was contact. Certainly it was incidental, if anything.
Here's a good look at it.
Ooh. Yeah, that's an interesting one because I would say, if anything, Andy initiated that contact right there.
Yeah, it was so interesting because they were both off balance.
Yeah.
Both kind of coming together, and I think they're going to call it incidental contact. Do we have an official call?
Well, it's weird because rarely is the blocker underneath the net at all, right? But when you have so many option plays happening on the side of Miles and Paul, you get the blocker, like we saw Andy there, kind of broad jumping into the net.
And that one clearly out. When you take an angle like that and it clips the top of the net, usually you run out of real estate.
Yeah. With deference to Riley McKibben, who claims there's always more angle, sometimes you do run out.
14-14 here, set 2. Pressure's on Benesh and Patterson. They lost the first set. Here comes Patterson, gets his feet under the ball and really takes a rip on it, and offhanded option.
Yeah, that's just some incredible strength and flexibility in the rotator cuff right there to be able to corkscrew your arm the other direction.
Casey Patterson still got it at 42 years of age, although he has announced that he will retire after this Phoenix championship. How about Benesh, though, right there? Doesn't get fooled at all and actually makes it to the outside. That's a true middle blocker right there.
Yeah, you saw him slide early, not biting on the fake.
That was always so hard. I was an outside hitter, and when they would put me in the middle to do any type of a read, just to be able to read the setter is such a challenging skill. And there is Lotman pressing over.
What a great move there. Strong left hand. Paul Lotman, yeah, his 4th block, Mark just announced over the PA system.
4 blocks, and he's really got great form in his timing. He's pressing just at the right time. 16-15, Lotman and Partain 5 points away. Make it 4 points away from the semifinals, and they are starting to lock in.
Yeah, and like I've mentioned a few times now, Casey's so good offensively, so getting those kind of blocks on a player of his offensive caliber really speaks to the discipline up at the net of Paul Lotman. And you saw the replay that we saw the play before. He really gets that good neutral and balanced load over his feet, right? His weight is completely neutral, so he can go up and be strong with those hands.
Well, make your Phoenix Championship predictions on Bally Play's AVP Predictor game and take your shot to win 2 official AVP game balls signed by the 2022 AVP champs. Just scan the QR code or go to ballyplay.com/AVP to make your winning predictions. If you predict correctly, like I said, you're going to win 2 official AVP beach volleyball signed by the champs here in Phoenix. Get your picks in right now. Who's the front runner aside from the Taylors? I know you're biased in that way, but who's looking hot right now?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think that the other crab, as I call them, and Tri-Bourne, they've been playing some wonderful ball, won the last 2 tournaments, so you'd have to think that they are the front runners.
Phoenix, put your hands together as these guys get back out there.
Lotman versus Benesh, 5 blocks apiece. Lotman, though, with 4 control blocks to Benesh's 1. So the battle is at the net. Lotman and Partain, 17-15, set 2. It's 4 points away. Big hit by Patterson.
Yeah, big swing, undeterred by the last 2 blocks. I love that aggressiveness from Casey Patterson. Kind of right the ship for his team. And I really like that Miles just kept it on him there, right? Having a good sense of the moment. You've scored a couple points in succession. You just got to keep the pressure on. Casey's going to side out, but you got to make him earn it.
Short jump float serve by Benesh. Trying to take the approach away from Miles Partain. Doesn't work that time. And so it's interesting, kind of the damage is done. Lotman and Partain just need 3 side outs, and they are moving to the semifinal. Benesh needs to come up with another big block.
Yeah, I did like that changeup, though, in strategy there, kind of taking his approach away a little bit. It doesn't work that time, but Andy did get some good meat on that ball up at the net.
Wow, what a high hit by Benesh right there to go to 17. And we take the switch, 17 serving 18.
I've said this before. We missed the part I'm going to talk about right there of that play. Andy Benesh passing the ball down his sideline is pretty unbelievable for a guy who was a middle blocker, doesn't have a tremendous amount of service receive reps under his belt. But that's a wonderful serve from Paul Lotman, and Andy handled it with ease.
There's the tee-up option play. That time a little off speed he threw it, and Benesh kind of got caught up there. So another option works for Lotman and Partain.
Yeah, and it gets frustrating a little bit if you're Andy, right? Because he's making all the right reads, he's seeing the game, and then just little bounces not quite going his way right now.
Roll shot is eaten up by Partain, and then Lotman converts on the option play to get us to match point for Lotman and Partain.
Yeah, Casey a bit beside himself because he knows that's not up to his standards, that shot.
Winner of this match will move on to take on Tri-Bourne and Trevor Crabb. Lotman and Partain, match point. Another dig by Partain. Rolls it to the backcourt. It'll be Patterson. And a beautifully executed shot outside of the block of Lotman. Match point number 2, Lotman and Partain. And a double contact called on Lotman, and there's no argument there. So all of a sudden, this is a 1-point ball game, and Lotman might be a little jittery after that one, shaking his head. He's going to call a timeout.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you like the immediate timeout, or do you like to let it go one more? I realize, you know, if you let it go one more, then you're in a dogfight. But sometimes I feel like one and call the timeout is a little bit overreactive.
Yeah, I mean, from a coach's standpoint, seeing him, he got very animated, right? He was upset with himself, shaking his head. He probably needed a timeout. As a partner, you kind of want to work with him, but I think they've been in the driver's seat. You get called for one, like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's side out again. We'll see. You know, it's always, you know, what do they say? Hindsight's 20/20. When you look and see what happens. But I would have liked to continue to play, I think, in that position.
Yeah, and to be clear, there's no right answer. Obviously, it's whatever your team is comfortable with, right? But you know, if that's how they like to approach it, more power to them.
Right.
We both are on the same page that we like to let it go one or two, right?
Because he's such a great setter, and rarely does he get called. So just, you know, get back out there. They're passing well. But I think, you know, they're still in the driver's seat. They got one more opportunity to seal the match before we go to a deuce game if Benesh and Patterson can pull a point off here. They've been going to Partain. This one goes to Lotman. Lotman with a roll shot, and he gets it done. Wasn't the cleanest of side outs, but he'll take it.
It was almost the land and shoot, right? He almost hit the ground before that thing crawled over the net, but he'll take it. And it turns out calling a timeout was the right move, Dane.
Yep, like we said.
Yeah.
So 21-18, 21-19, Lotman and Partain really looking solid. Next up, it'll be Triborn and Trevor Crabb, the #1 seed in the tournament. That'll take place tomorrow at 12:15 p.m. And so it's time to pack it up for Miles Partain and Lotman and get a little rest and get back to the arena tomorrow. It was a block party for sure up at the net. Take a look at our Monster block of the match, and it came from Andy Benesh. Great footwork, then jumped high into the angle. That's the Monster block of the match. Take a look at the statistics for that one. It was all about hitting efficiency. 526 for Lotman Partain, 295 for Benesh and Patterson. And that was it. So Lotman and Partain moving on to the semifinal. They'll get a little rest, and they will be back tomorrow.